Al-Mawardi. Introduction. Al-Mawardi was born in 974 and died at the advanced age of 86 lunar years in 1050. He belonged to the Orthodox Shafite school of jurisprudence. The Imamate. The Imamate, which literally means presidentship, is the foundation on which the rules and regulations of the community depend. These are solid truths, and the more we consider the circumstances of the state and the government even today, the more are we convinced of them. To put Mawardi's idea in modern form, what he means is firstly that the real motive of the state is the rule of justice and truth, and secondly, it is the machinery of the state which separates the good from the bad, virtue from vice, the sanctioned from the prohibited. Meaning of the Imamate. Mawardi then passes on to the meaning of the Imamate and says that the real motive of the institution is the following of the straight path and the strengthening of political bonds. It is therefore of the utmost importance that someone should be chosen Imam by the consensus of the community. Election and appointment of the Imam. Mawardi gives quite a mass of detail about the election and appointment of the Imam and discusses the qualification of voters and candidates. It is interesting to note that instead of regarding purely artificial factors such as age, property, and residence, Mawardi considers only those qualified who can distinguish between good and evil, between right and wrong, between the deserving and the undeserving. According to him, there are two ways in which the Imam may be elected: by the vote of the qualified voters and by the nomination of the outgoing Imam. He bases his argument by the precedent of the choice of Abu Bakr by election and that of Umar by nomination. Once the new Imam has taken his place, he binds himself by an undertaking promising that he would loyally perform the duties allotted to him. This is followed by the Bai'at or the pledge, modeled after the first pledges, in which the people or their representatives promise to be loyal to the new Imam. Duties of the Imam. Al-Mawardi enumerates the duties of the Imam or the Caliph and says that he should protect the faith, adjudicate between man and man so that no person in power should be able to tyrannize over others, defend the liberty of the state, punish those who might transgress the law, make the payment of salaries regularly, appoint honest and reliable men as his representatives in the land, and should never give himself up either to a life of luxury or of prayer in such a way as to be forced to hand over the management of the realm to others. While mentioning the powers and duties of the Imam, Al-Mawardi quotes some beautiful lines in order to describe what he considers the ideal qualification of the Imamate. In quotes, God be praised for all his goodness. Make such a person your ruler as should be benevolent and warlike. If he is wealthy, he should not take pride in his wealth. If he has been surrounded by adverse circumstances, he would not be upset by them. He should be willing to act according to the needs of the moment, sometimes following others' advice, at other times making others follow his. And when he makes up his mind to act, he should act with firmness and resolution. Ministry or Imamate. After describing the conditions of the Imamate, Mawardi turns to the question of the Wizarat or ministry. At the outset, he says that the appointment of a wazir does not mean that the Imam or the Caliph should give up all connection with the administration of the state, but the real significance of his appointment consists in the fact that in the province of politics, it is better to have a combined assistance rather than one sole person at the helm of affairs. And when the Prophet Moses could make his brother Aaron his wazir in order that his hands should be strengthened, then, says Mawardi, surely in the administration of the state it is allowable for the Imam to have a wazir beside him. He says that the Wizarat is of two kinds, the Wizarat of Delegation and the Wizarat of Execution. The Wizarat of Delegation is the person in whom the Imam has the fullest confidence and to whom the whole administration of the realm is delegated. The sole difference between the Wazir and the Imam himself is that the Wazir of Delegation cannot appoint anyone as his successor, and the Imam can dismiss the officers appointed by him. Furthermore, if the Wazir gives a certain order and the Imam opposes it, then we should consider the essence of the order. If it is found that the order has been issued according to the legal procedure in force, then it would be within the power of the Imam to cancel it. Al-Mawardi says, the chief function of the Wazir of Execution consists in executing the decrees of the Imam, and he should be the main official channel of information for him. Mawardi thinks that 7 qualities are required for a person aspiring to the office of Wazir of Execution, and they are honesty, confidence, absence of greed, good relationship with the people, intelligence, and the power of grasping the truth of things, absence of luxury, and lastly, diplomacy and experience. Diwan. Like all organized administrations, the government should be divided into various departments dealing with the business of revenue, army, and other high offices of the state. We have seen that the administration as a whole was called Diwan. There were 2 derivations current in Mawardi's day regarding the word Diwan. 1. It was a rather silly sight that clerks would solve arithmetic sums aloud. The spectacle showed them as diwana or mad. The other theory was that a diwan meant giants, and as the clerks and accountants were giants in mathematical sums, so their chief bureau came to be known as Diwani. Mawardi simply quotes these 2 theories which were current in his time without either believing or disbelieving them, and says that whatever the origin of the word might be, it was in the time of the Caliph Umar that the government of the Islamic State was first organized into various departments. He enumerated 4 chief offices of the government, that is, the Army Board, the Board of Provincial Boundaries, the Board of Appointment and Dismissal of Officers, and the Treasury. Number 1. The Army Department. The Army Department served as a census board as well, for in it were recorded the names of all those who could bear arms. In the same way, in the Department of Provinces were entered the names of all the dhimmis of different provinces, as well as the statistics about tribute and the exemption tax. Moreover, it was the office of record for the mines of the provinces and the amounts of royalty that was due on that account to the state treasury. In the Department of Appointment and Dismissals were recorded the standards and conditions of various services, their duties, salaries, terms of office, and such other information. While the Treasury, which was perhaps one of the most important departments of the state, a register was kept of the taxes, the outcome of which was distributed among the Muslims, such as the zakat and sadaqah from the Muslims and the spoils of war.